My guest tonight has been a cast member on Saturday Night Live for 18 seasons. That's incredible. The longest in history. His new NBC series, Kenan, airs Tuesdays at 8:30 on NBC. Please welcome our good friend, Kenan Thompson. Kenan, how are you? Please sit. Everyone, calm down.
Everybody, relax. I'm just a guy.
You know what? Please sit. People are losing it for you in here. I've got 180 cardboard cutouts just losing their shit that you're here. How are you?
Fellow cardboard cutout lovers, please relax. I'm great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Congratulations. You just hosted Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards Saturday night. And one of the highest honors in our culture, higher than, I think, any other award, a Peabody, an Oscar, is to get slimed, and you got slimed.
Oh, look at that. Come on. That's nothing in comparison to how the rest of it went. That was the beginning of it. That was after the first splash. There were about 10 splashes after that.
Let me ask you a question. What is that stuff? Because they're now looking into it. I think it's toxic. I really do.
Well, I hope not, because I was just covered in it. So
I'm curious, like, you've been, some people host the Nickelodeon Awards and they're kind of part of that world. You really started in that world. I mean, how old were you when you were doing your first show? You were a kid.
Yeah, I was like 15, 14, 15.
When you were doing Kenan and Kel, you were 14, 15 years old.
Yeah, all that started first, and then the Kenan and Kel show came like the following year. So like 14, 15, yeah.
Now, I was curious, like I was so much older than that before anybody recognized me. I was 30, I think, when I first started on camera, and people were like, hey, I know you. That's got to be pretty intense when you're that age, such a young age, still forming as a human being, and suddenly you're dealing with fame. What was that like?
It was a slower journey than you would imagine because, Nickelodeon was pretty much still just a cable channel, basically. Right. And those who had cable, you still had to be a kid. So it wasn't like I was running into a lot of kids unless I went to like Chuck E. Cheese or something. Like there was a year or two where I couldn't go to Chuck E. Cheese, and I was like, all right, I'm pretty popular. I'm doing pretty good out there. Stay away from those Chuck E. Cheeses out there.
Yeah. I've been asked not to go to Chuck E. Cheese, but for a different reason.
Yeah, I was going to say it might be a different list that
we'll talk about that later.
I don't know if we will, but that's a personal thing.
Those are false charges, Kenan.
Yeah, sure. That's for you in the courts. That's for you in the courts to decide.
Is this true that when you were starting out, you wanted to get recognized really badly, so you went someplace to try and get recognized?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I remember there was a very specific day in my memory that me and Kel like got up. We were like, let's go to the mall, man, and see if anybody will recognize us, because we've been putting in work for one season on each show. Right. But I was new to television and stuff like that. So I thought it was an immediate type of thing. Like, yeah, we've done a season of television, so people should recognize and give up some high fives. And we stood in the middle of the mall for about an hour, I'd say, just kind of watching people go back and forth, and then grabbed an Orange Julius, I think, and kind of just left. And
wait, so you stood there looking around, just waiting for people to come up to you, and they didn't come up to you?
They did not. Not a one. No one asked if we were okay. No one asked if we were looking for something. We couldn't have been more suspicious, but nobody even thought we were a threat at all. And it was a long, quiet ride back to the apartment. It was just like, so that didn't work. Exactly.
Well, fortunately, that would not happen now. But, I think it's actually healthier for you to have it be a little bit of a slow build. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
If it had been Kenan Mania right away, God knows where you'd be right now. This is a better way, building it slowly.
I think so. I mean, if you look at the numbers, the majority of people that, catch the fire really, really quickly, it, burns them out, the
Yeah.
flame. You get too close to the flame.
I got too close to the flame, 93, 94, and then I was never seen again. Hey, I want to ask you about, you were doing sketch comedy at that same age. So you're in kind of a sitcom world, kind of, but you're also in a doing full on sketch comedy and playing characters. So I was thinking about this today. Of all the people I know that have been on Saturday Night Live, and I've known so many of them, you've been on the longest on Saturday Night Live, but also you probably had the most years of sketch comedy experience before you even got the show of anybody I know.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, it was like 5 seasons of all that. So, yeah, we looked at it. I mean, we used to call ourselves like the SNL for kids and stuff like
Yeah,
that. But
yeah.
none of us thought we would ever really make it, even to like auditioning for it for real, just because, it just seemed very, you know, it's just such a different world. Like we were in Florida and then we went to LA, you know what I mean? So I
Yep.
didn't have that like New York, Chicago comedy scene hustle, knowing that SNL is at 30 Rock. Like I didn't know what 30 Rock was,
Right,
until I
right.
went there for an audition basically. So it was a very far-fetched kind of idea for all of us pretty much. And then, as I stayed kind of diligent, pressing the issue of letting me audition or whatever, I finally got the chance. And then yeah, I don't know if I'll ever give that job up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't see a reason why. I think there used to be this feeling like, well, I've done Saturday Night Live and now I need to move on and put that down and do something else. And it's occurred to me that the world we live in now, that's not really necessary. You can do Saturday Night Live. You can do it if you had to part of the time, do your sitcom, make a movie. It's not an either or world anymore. So, and you're so great on that show. I just don't see why there's any reason to say, well, your time's up. You've got to leave high school. It's not that way anymore.
Thank you for saying that. I mean, that's exactly how I see it too. Like it was a time, like you said, it was a platforming type of situation. But for me, it was always kind of different because I came into the show with people knowing who I was and wanting to see me mature or whatever. And now I'm at to the point where a lot of people don't really know the show without me being on it.
Yes.
So it's just like a weird kind of, do I want to leave and just go do whatever else without it? Like, not really.
Right.
I think it's a very special place. It's a very special tool to keep sharp, just being on top of things week after week and
Well,
being,
there's a type of comedy that you can do on Saturday Night Live that you can't do other places. I remember when I was there, Phil Hartman, one of the great sketch performers of all time, he was on the show, and then he had been there what at the time seemed like a long time, and then he was said, "Well, I guess I need to move on now and do my other stuff." And I thought, no show is going to use Phil Hartman as well as Saturday Night Live. They're going to
no way.
and he went on to do other things, and then sadly, was gone. But
Very like one at a time,
yes,
years in between an incredible Phil Hartman performance,
yeah,
just because you wait on the project basically.
exactly. You're in the hands of other people, whereas on Saturday Night Live, there's so much you can do, and which brings up the question of Lorne. Lorne Michaels, obviously famous creator, producer, Saturday Night Live, huge influence on me, pretty much gave me my career. So I'm indebted to him, like so many of us are. He produces Kenan. He produces your show, and I'm wondering, is he in? I know Lorne from the world of being my producer on Saturday Night Live and being the producer on my late night show. What's he like on a sitcom? Is he still the same guy, the kind of doesn't say much, but when he says something, it cuts like a knife?
Oh man, it cuts like a machete. You know what I mean? It's like you do so like there's a lot on the line as it is. Like the show is, self-titled at this point. It was
Right.
Saving Larry at one point, which I felt much more, distant from, and like just an actor coming to do a show. But now this is called Kenan, you know what I mean? And it's all about me. And like, the phrase you said, Kenan, Lauren produces Kenan, like that's kind of like really the overall kind of statement for my life and for the
Yeah.
last 18 years. He's just been that guy. So
Yeah.
the fact that there's so much weighing on it and we do so much thinking and back and forth, and before he chimes in, when he does chime in and it's something we haven't thought of, it's like, shit, man. You know what I mean? Like, why aren't you just around all the time? But, you know, he can't be everywhere at all times. But, you know, it's nice when he does chime in because it's usually pretty on point.
Yeah. He can sort of just put his, he can shine a light on something and you realize immediately, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm sure he's watches rehearsals of your show, and if there's something that doesn't seem right, he'll say to you, like he used to say to me that my manners were very important. You have good manners, and I thought, what does that matter? It's about being funny, and he would say, no, it's funny is one thing, but you have to have this other component, which is part of you, which is to be nice to people and to be well mannered. And
1,000%. He has a way of making it feel a lot less cooler than you think it is, but your approach to how you present that cool is pinnacle, and that's what he makes you kind of like lock in on. It's like you want to be nice and you want people to like you.
Yes,
lean into that.
Lean into the nice. Kenan, lean into the nice. I didn't realize it had a different title. I thought there was a show called Kenan, and you auditioned for it and you got it. And
yeah, like, it's a very lucky world like that. I think it was like made by Kenan Ivory Wayans, though.
We had Kenan Ivory Wayans in mind. Who the is this guy? You know what I love about your show is, first of all, I really enjoy you, and I think you're a terrific performer. And then you've got Don Johnson doing this with you, who one of the coolest people, in my opinion, in the history of television. And
1,000%.
and then the times that I've briefly gotten to chat with him, he's such a nice guy, Don Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely. It's weird, you know, because when I was growing up, it was like him, Stingray, and Mr. T.
Yes.
Were like the coolest people on television, you know?
Yep.
Like Stingray and Hawk, you know, that was my like Crockett and Tubbs, you know, for like right after that. And then Mr. T was just the epic. So when I got a chance to FaceTime him, and within 5 seconds, he was just as chill as any dude could be. And he was just like, I love the idea for the show and blah, blah, blah. And we talked about like fatherhood and blah, you know, it's just an immediate bond. I was like, oh, this guy is the greatest. Then once I started making him laugh and figured out what his funny bone was, and then let him tell stories and jokes and stuff like that that make him laugh as well, it was just like secreted in cement. Like that guy has one of the greatest laughs in the world.
Does he ever tell stories about Miami Vice, or is he?
Yes.
Yes.
Every day. And it came up the other day that he knew some pretty intriguing drug lords over the years.
Oh, yeah, because he was in Miami, in the 80s. Yeah. And that was the most popular show in the world. So Don Johnson's probably meeting some pretty interesting characters.
Yeah, he's got some great stories. And I'm glad he's on the other side of it now in his latter years, and he can just relax and tell these stories. But, man, they are wild.
Yeah. How's your life going? You've got young kids. You've got daughters. How old are they?
My babies, Georgia's 6 and Gianna is 2. And my wife, Christina, she's a grown woman. So
I'm glad we got that straightened out. Your older daughter, your 6-year-old, she must know what you do. Does she have the performing gene? Does she want to be doing what you're doing?
She is the biggest ham I've ever seen. She is already like recording videos in the house and like sending them to family members, and just like has a whole show going. So she definitely has the itch. And yeah, I want to like put her in theater classes or something when she gets ready. But right now it's a very like little kid kind of playing in the mirror type of thing or whatever. But it's pretty extravagant. Like she's doing full on like shows, because I guess she watches a lot of YouTube Kids things. And
yeah, she's going to be posting stuff on YouTube and then going to the mall to try and get recognized. Yeah, then exactly. You know you've got a problem.
That's when I know. It's like, was that an Orange Julius? Did you go to the mall? Is
it, I just want to mention Kenan before I go. What really impresses me is that you guys are making this and have been making it during COVID. And so, I know a bunch of productions have been doing that, but I think it's one thing for dramas to pull that off. I just think comedy is such a hard thing to do in the COVID world, and you guys have pulled it off, so my hat's off to you, but it's got to be difficult to get into that rhythm and click when everyone's wearing a hazmat suit and distancing. And
it definitely is. And that's where I have to, again, give it up to my castmates, Don Johnson, Chris Redd.
Yep.
My little daughters, Danny and Dana, Fortune Feemster, Taylor Louderman, Kimry Lewis, like everybody that's been working on this. Jeff, I can never remember my man Jeff's last name, but he's insanely funny on the show. He's like the auxiliary, like weatherman kind of character at the news station. Crazy funny. But yeah, everybody is number one, professional, and number two, like, down to play, basically. And we did it, in a restricted kind of a manner, but we got through it. And, once, we get those restrictions off of us, stuff might get crazy,
Never swear again. Do you understand?
Apologize. You're
this
absolutely
isn't,
right.
Excuse me, Kenan, this is not Nickelodeon. You can't just be throwing words around like that.
No, you cannot. And once again, that's my bad. So.
Kenan airs, I want to make sure I get the word out. Kenan airs Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on NBC. And I'm just always, I really enjoy talking to you, and I really love your work. You're doing a great job. You really are.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
You're one of those young people that gives me hope. And I know someday we are going to take that bicycle ride together.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
You're saying it. I know that you don't think it's going to happen.
I'm going to show you that Los Angeles extends past the airport. That's not where Mexico starts. And it's going to be a good ride.
I was certain I was in Mexico.
I get it. It's easily confusable.
Yeah. People, if you want to know what we're talking about, check out my podcast with Kenan, which you were absolutely hilarious and we had a blast.
You definitely did.
Check that out.
We got to have you on my podcast. Everybody's doing podcasts.
Oh, yeah. No. Podcast now is like jury duty. You've got to have a podcast once, at least every 2 years. It's like a box you check. You got to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So please come chat.
Are you kidding? I'm there anytime. Hey, Kenan, thank you so much. Take care. I know you're working hard, but try and rest up and say hey to everybody at Saturday Night Live. Explain who I am.
I will. I'll
say he's a very kindly, nice, older white woman.
It's a great story how he turned into a white woman.
Yeah, it happened when I was 15. All right. I'll talk to you later, Kenan. Take care.
Incredible. All right. Thank you, man.